Yeah, you know what? I just didn't get enough stuff off my chest before. I still like stressed out. I still need to talk stuff and get off stuff off my chest, just like normal. Because it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. All this kind of like shit. You know, it's like I have to go and get something to eat, and it's just the fucking. It just gets on my nerves, right? The having to cook for myself, having to prepare my food. I know this is the same for a lot of people, right? So this is why I want to live in a community where it's more natural. People live more naturally. So I wouldn't have to prepare my own meals like 3 times a day, every fucking day, forever and ever and ever. You know, because it's like it's excruciating. You know, because it's like it's excruciating. It's really excruciating. You know. I mean, I could have really done with like a nice like bowl of stew, you know, with a bit of meat and some vegetables, you know, with some nice stock. Now I can make that myself, but buying all the vegetables that I want in it, it's like you have to generally buy them all in packets. I mean, I probably could find somewhere to search around and like get individual vegetables. Yeah, you lucky bastard, you. Hello, HRC. Nice to see you. Yeah, you know, I'd love to live in a community where there was like communal food. So if you don't want to get your own food together, you can just go and get a bowl of stew from the communal kitchen, you know. And it's I mean, why should that be so difficult? Instead, you know, because of my diet and stuff, I've had to get this I made a sandwich with cheese and tomato and like ham and lettuce is my sandwich instead of bread. But it's like it's not really very good food, you know. It's not ideal. But it's like that every like 3 times a day. I have to go through this thing. Do I try and create a meal that I'm going to have to eat for 5 or 6 meals? Because I've got to make a whole load of it and then eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 2 or 3 days, you know, so it doesn't go off. Ah, that's what it's like. Otherwise, I mean, do you make a stew for one person? Yeah, we do. We need more stew kitchens. There should be one on every street corner. There should be a stew kitchen, you know, where there's just like a big load of stew. It costs next to nothing to get a portion, you know. It's crazy. I mean, what was the point of having all these benefits, you know, paying all these people loads of money if they make it impossible to make a soup kitchen or a stew kitchen, you know? See, I'd like to live in a community where there should be a law, yeah. But it's just like common sense. There shouldn't be. I don't believe in laws. I don't believe in the written word. I think it's like a great evil. I've talked about this over and over again. I don't see. I don't really feel like I've got any other choice except to carry on talking about it. The written word is a great evil because you've got all these bureaucrats. They're the people stopping us from setting up stew kitchens. You know, it's all health and safety. You know, taxes. You know, value added tax. There's all kinds of reasons why they stop these things from happening. This is why I think you're all crazy. I mean, people generally, right? You've been deceived by the written word. You think it's a good thing. You know, it slips under your radar, and you think that the written word is like oh, it's really useful. It saves loads of time. You know, it's a way of storing knowledge. You know, and if people are just idiots, they don't understand. They don't see that having all this knowledge stored it's no good. Just having it stored. There's so much knowledge being created on the internet each day that nobody in their whole lifetime could go through all the videos and stuff that's being made in a single day, let alone everything that's there. So it's useless. All that information is completely useless. It's just sitting there doing nothing. They've probably got some artificial intelligence sieving through it, trying to find out who are the dangerous people like me. So they can put a black mark on their name, and in a few years' time, there's some assassins will come and like kill me off, like people like me. But that's about all the only use I can see of it, you know. Sure, I have found some use. I was watching a David Icke video recently, and he talks about this stuff. You know, I almost sound like a sort of subpar version of David Icke a lot of the time, you know. I mean, I don't really trust David Icke. I think, you know, people that can, maybe it's just envy. It's probably just envy, and I don't want to admit that I'm a sinner, you know. But he seems to have a life where he can just sort of talk about all this stuff that's like anti-establishment and get away with it and make loads of money out of it as well. You know, he gets like these like people going to see him at stadiums and stuff and pay loads of money to watch him talk. I mean, I'd quite like to do that, you know. I probably haven't got the same personality. I probably wouldn't be able to get away with it. But I don't know why he gets away with it, you know. I think he's just a shield. Anyway, so I got to prepare all these stupid meals 3 times a day. It gets exhausting after a while. You know, it's like I just want to be, yeah, like HRC says, we should have stew kitchens on the corner. You know, if a few times a week I could go to a stew kitchen and get a bowl of stew for like a couple of quid, you know, that would make my life so much easier. You know, I could get things done. You know, I could like, but it's just not available. I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start looking around. I'm going to talk to some of these cafes and say to them, look, have you got a decent bowl of stew with some vegetables and meat, you know, so that I can come in for like £2 or £3. It'd probably be about £6 for a bowl of stew. I'll still pay that though. I'll still pay £6 for a bowl of stew. I mean, it's a bit expensive, but you know, it just saves me all the hassle of cooking and stuff. And eating the same food, you know, 3 or 4 times a day for 3 days. I mean, it's not healthy. This is the problem. It's like it becomes unhealthy, eating the same food all the time, not having a variety of food. Yeah. What happens when you get sick of stew, you know? You're back onto your beer and sandwiches, aren't you? And that's the other thing, like beer, this beer, you know, it's like you can't, I mean, you can buy ginger beer. It's really expensive. It's like 3 times the price of normal beer. And it's got preservatives in it, you know, like the sulfite chemicals. So it's not straightforward to go and buy a beer that's not got hops in it. You know, I get fed up with hops. They're just like, they're addictive. That you want them to help you sleep, but you only sleep for a couple of hours, a few hours, and then you're awake again at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can't go and buy any beer because it's too early in the day. You got a hangover, you're all stressed out, you're hungry, you're thirsty. Oh. Oh dear. So what I'd like to do, I mean, there's options when it comes to work, right? I was just thinking a little while ago, what I could do is I could live in a house with 5 or 6 other people who are working, and I can just look after their food requirements, let's say 5 days a week. I'll cook their breakfasts, make them a lunch to take to work with them, and cook their dinner in the evening, and also help them with like supplements and herbs to keep them healthy and stuff, right? And they just give me sort of like, you know, 60-70 pound a week, or no, £100 a week, say, you know, so I'm getting like £500 a week, so I can buy all this food, make all these stews, you know, provide all this food for them, and that becomes a job for me. I mean, I could do that because I'm having to cook for myself anyway. So it would be really straightforward and a really good thing if I could just turn my skills of cooking, because I am a pretty good cook, you know. You know, even if I do say so myself, I am a good cook. You know, it's like I can cook really good food. It really tastes really good. It's really healthy, but it's a lot of hassle, you know. And where I've still got to do all these other things like look for work and make videos, because, you know, I've got nothing else to do except make videos really at the moment. You know, doing all that stuff on top of having to just cook single meals for me. I mean, it'll be so much more easier if I had more money and I could cook bigger meals for more people. I could have more variety, and then I would be healthier, you know. So I could do more stuff, you know, and I would rather do that, whereas I'm actually doing something, than just being on my own and getting benefits from the taxpayer and having to cook all my own food, like in stupid amounts. And I mean, most vegetables and stuff and meat, when you buy it, it's much cheaper to buy a big load. You know, if you want to buy a small amount of stuff, they want me to be all one. Who wants me to be all alone? Oh, well, thanks for reminding me, actually, because I knew there was loads of things I only wanted to talk about. You know, I put this video on, right, on live, and I'm thinking, I don't know what I want to talk about, but it's actually, you've reminded me, yeah, the government, the mind control. Okay, what I've realised about these people, these government and stuff, and it's something that's taken me a long time to work out. This is my new working theory, right? They are ignorant, and that's why they want other people to be ignorant. People that are ignorant, the thing they value the most highly in all the world is other people's ignorance. That's what I've discovered. People, there's all these like videos about, you know, talking about the underground government facilities and stuff underground, and they're called DUMBs, deep underground something, blah blah blah, military, I don't know, DUMBs, the deep underground military manifestations or something, you know, but they're dumb. It's almost like a sort of like, you know, a divine acronym. You know, these people are dumb, they are ignorant. And what they value most highly is other people's ignorance. They want everyone to be ignorant like them, but more ignorant, so that, you know, they've got a couple of little secrets. But this is what I've realized: the reason they're so like messed up and they need to they want to try and control everything is because they are ignorant. I mean, it's pretty obvious, really. The devil controls this world, right? The devil is the demon of ignorance in Hindu mythology, like the sort of like the counterpart to Shiva, the god of destruction and creation. and you've got the demon of ignorance, who he stands on in the Nataraja dance, the dancing Shiva. He stands on one foot. He's standing on the demon of ignorance. He crushes him underfoot while he's doing this dance, and he's got datura blossoms in his hair. He's got a little drum and stuff, you know, and he's doing this dance, but he's standing on the demon of ignorance. And it's the same thing as the Prince of Darkness. In Western culture, the Prince of Darkness is not a pseudonym for the devil, right? And it's the same thing. He wants everyone to be blindfolded and ignorant, you know. And the one thing that he really, really hates more than anything else is things like cannabis that open your mind. Magic mushrooms, this kind of thing. Proper, a decent education. They don't want you to have a decent education so that your mind is expanded and you have knowledge, because it makes them feel bad. It makes them feel stupid. It makes them feel dumb. Like, basically, this is what I've realized about vampires and the mirror symbology, right? You know, like in the films, you can't see the reflection of a vampire. Now, I understand that in symbolic terms, what that means is that these people who are like dumbed down and in ignorance and under the sway of the Prince of Darkness or the Demon of Ignorance, they can't reflect. They can't see themselves. They can't turn inwards and look inwards. They're not capable of doing that. So they can't actually reflect and see their own reflection. That's what the mirror symbology is in all these vampire movies. That's why they say you can't. There's no reflection of a vampire in a mirror. It's not about there's no reflection of a vampire in a mirror in reality. It's a symbolic thing about these people don't know how to look at themselves. They don't know how to meditate or look inwards, you know. It's like that. That's what it is. That's what I've realized. So you can't reason with them. They can't see what they're doing. They're just sort of like animals, like scrabbling around in the darkness, and you can't reason with them. You can't show them the light. They hate the light because it shows how filthy they are. Yeah, I know that these like discussions, these little talks that I do, they're pretty much the same thing. I'm talking about the same thing all the time. I'm surprised I still get any watchers. I imagine it must get boring for people, like listening to me go on and on about the same thing all the time. You know, I think of myself as on the autistic spectrum, although I've not got a proper diagnosis. It's typical of people on the autistic spectrum that the things they talk about are the same subject over and over and over again all the time. And I hear myself doing that. And I would like to be more interesting, but I'm just not. You know, I'm stuck in this reality, and it's what I need to talk about. It's like, because, you know, to me, I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this reality. I want to escape. And I'm going to keep looking for a way out. I don't see any other options. Yeah, they want to keep us in a cage because misery loves company, I guess. All right, yeah, I'll keep going on about these books, right? These these Stephen Erickson books, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. There's so much stuff in there that's that I think is worth reading. I was talking about it earlier. To me, it's like there are a better version of history than the mainstream history. You know, he talks about dragons, shapeshifters, all different ways of war and different types of slavery and government and empire. And it's just so interesting. There's so much stuff in there. I'm on my 4th time around. In about 5 years, right? These books, there's 10 of them, right? And they're thick books. Most of them have got like about 1,000 pages. Yeah, it's difficult to sort of like. I'm trying to encourage people to sort of read them. I mean, I don't like the written word, but because that's what we're reduced to. We haven't really got much choice. I don't like the written word, but it's like the Pandora's box. All that's left in the box is hope. So I still read because that's the only place to get good, decent ideas from, you know. And even a video is basically just a book, but in visual form. So as HRC just said, hi, Mindraper. Yeah, I like the visual, the actual books, because I can sit there and I don't have to have the computer on. But yeah, they take a bit of time. As I say, this is my 4th time around reading them, and I've never had any books like that. The other book, actually, there's another book that I'm really quite interested in at the moment. The I Ching. This is the authentic I Ching. That author there, Henry Way. It's just I've loved the I Ching for a long time. It's a great book. In terms of books, if I had like a choice of like say 3 books that I could take with me onto a desert island, or just have with me any time, then the I Ching would definitely be one of them. I don't know what the other ones would be, but the I Ching would definitely be the main book I would have. Like, it's such a useful book, and I've been doing a few readings. They are so profoundly like attuned to your situation. It's amazing. It's like, because it's not, although it's divination, it doesn't really talk about the future as so much as the now. It's you're divining the very moment that you're doing the reading. It's the moment that you're looking at, you know, the now. So it really helps you focus on living in the now, dealing with the truth. It's such a good book. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. The I Ching, even more so than the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy those the Malazan books. You know, I've really enjoyed them. Quite a lot of work, but rewarding. You know, and I found them getting better each time. I mean, I'm on the 4th time now. I just find it a bit bizarre that I'm reading these same books 4 times in a row. I've virtually stopped reading any other books because they're so good. There's no point reading any other sort of fictional stuff. It seems paltry and useless and boring in comparison to Stephen Erickson stuff. So I basically dispense with all other literature. I just focus on Stephen Erickson's book. Eventually, I'm bound to get fed up with it. I feel like I'm starting to get fed up with them a bit, but not quite yet. I'm still plowing through them. So I got rid of my moustache because I need to go out and do things while I'm trying to quit drinking. I don't want people like, you know, anything to draw attention to me. I want to just look as normal as possible. The other book that I found really interesting. Where is it? Okay, this is another series that I found really great. R. Scott Bakker's The Darkness That Comes Before. It's the first book in the series of the Prince of Nothing series, and I just discovered it by accident. But it's in it. I mean, the thing at the top there, if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. I can't see it on the screen. No, it's too dark. But it says, "Take note, one and all, something remarkable has begun." Stephen Erickson. You know, it's like it's a Stephen Erickson is saying that this is a great book, right? So I had to take note of it. So I read it. There's nothing like it, you know. It's another one of those books I can read again. I've read it twice. So there's 7 books in the series. I've only actually read the first 5 books. It was starting to get a bit like boring, you know, in the later books, but still incredible stuff. What is it about? There's this monk, and he's like been bred over like thousands of years to be really quick in his mind and his muscles and stuff, and to understand how to see people's thoughts by their facial expressions, you know. And there's some really interesting stuff that connects with some other epic literature, which is like Frank Herbert stuff, Frank Herbert's Dune series. A lot of these books are very similar in a lot of ways. Like this Warrior Prophet and the Stephen Erickson books, they've all got in the beginning of each chapter, there's a little bit of like writing, just like you get in the Dune books. So they all seem like have partly been inspired by Frank Herbert. Even though they don't really talk about it or admit it or make any comparisons, I can see the comparisons. Also, in the Prince of Nothing series, there's like he talks about this like trance that you go into, where you look into the future and you see all the possibilities, like this possibility trance. And there's stuff in the Dune books about this as well. How certain types of meditation, you use your right brain. It doesn't talk about that. I'm just guessing. Using your right brain to look at the big picture and then draw out all the important information and condense it all in your left brain, sort of like consciously. What people normally do subconsciously and unconsciously, you're learning to do it consciously. And this is in the Dune books as well. You've got the those people. There's a few different people in the Dune books. I forgot the names of them now. The Talaxu maybe, or I forgot the names of them. But they go into this probability trance, and they take certain drugs as well to enhance the ability to do this. The books are much more, you know, they've got a lot more in the books than in the films. I don't know. I think it's a lot to do with our culture. Sword of Truth. Meh, I don't know that one. Sounds interesting. I might look into it. What's the author? I'll probably be able to find it if I do a search for it anyway. Yeah, I used to like Michael Moorcock. You know, when I started reading it a long time ago, I used to quite like the Michael Moorcock books. But then I found those were a bit boring when you read them twice. Oh dear. Terry Goodkind. Okay, right. For a while ago, a few years ago, I got into some children's books. There's this author, Garth Nix, who I quite liked. Garth Nix, Nix. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty dead world when it comes to yeah, same as that. I forgot loads of what I've read as well. War of the Gods. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Stephen Erickson stuff, there's gods in there, you know, and they're like they start off as what's called ascendants. Interesting connection with astrology, I think, ascendant, because your ascendant sign. So they start off as ascendants, and that they can become gods. So all the gods basically started off as people, and they become gods. You got shape changes. It's such a vast. I mean, compared to Lord of the Rings, it just makes Lord of the Rings seem really boring and tedious. Right? I really can't. I'm still trying to understand and get over the fact that, you know, I'm reading this for the fourth time. You know, it's got to be good, isn't it? If you're reading it for the fourth time, that's like, it's got to be good. Either I'm really stupid and I'm not really absorbing it properly, or it's just really good. But how can you explain it? Someone reading the same books 4 times in a row, and you know, they've got to be really good books, haven't they? That's one of the things that keeps me distracted at the moment, you know, having something to read. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe if I didn't have anything to read, I'd probably maybe get on with my life more or something. But I don't even know what that means, you know. One of the things about doing the work as well, I've realised how little I know about stuff. I know so little about almost everything. I know nothing. I mean, all this stuff that I keep moaning about, you know, this the school system keeping everyone suppressed, and what's it all for? I don't know. I've come to this conclusion that the people doing it just don't want anyone to be more intelligent than they are. You know, they want to keep everyone in ignorance so that they know more than everyone else. You know, knowledge is power. They want to have a little bit more knowledge than everyone else. So they need to keep everyone stupid and dumbed down and in the dark, right? That's the only sense I can make of it. And unless there is some other reason, maybe reality is just too threatening, too evil, too nasty, and it would just make everybody go insane, you know, in a really bad way, right? In a chaotic way. and just create havoc? I don't know. But all the time I don't know, and there's no way of finding out, I don't trust these people. I can't help not trusting them. You know, they've put me under loads of shit. They've caused loads of shit for me. So is that War of the Gods then you're talking about with the Rune Lords? Yeah, I've read loads of books too, and I forget them. I read one recently about runes. I can't remember what it was called. Haven't any of you got cameras? You want to sort of come and have a discussion online? Don't feel like there's any pressure. I don't really want you here. I just thought it might be a change, you know. I mean, the technology is designed to enable people to have discussions. You know, to go live and have discussions. I don't think I've ever really been into a discussion with people. I didn't have things set up properly, but in theory, it's possible anyway. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm just sort of getting a bit tired, and it's my third video today. I just had loads of stuff to get off my chest. It's the full moon, you know. It's like I've been a bit ratty and stressed out today. I haven't got to where I wanted to get to with the giving up alcohol. I don't know where that's going to go. It could be years, or it might never happen that I give up alcohol, which would be like, oh, that's what I was going to think about. Yeah. Where am I going to go when I stop drinking alcohol? I've talked about this already, but you know, it's not a very nice world to wake up into, you know, where everything's just so sick. Everyone's sick. Everyone's like miserable and depressed, but also in denial about the fact that they're miserable and depressed and sick. It's a fucking nightmare. You know, I'm waking up out of one nightmare and just to go into another one. What is the point, you know? But there is a point. I'm sure there is a point. It's like there's so much stuff that I don't know. I don't know what the future's going to hold. Rather than dying miserably and like sick over a long period of time, I might as well be healthy, live longer, and die quickly in my sleep when I'm really old, because that's how most really old people die. They have a much easier death. So if you can get past sort of like 90, there's a good chance you'll just die in your sleep, you know. And also doing the work, you know. Although apparently what the problem I've got is irreversible trauma. I don't know what really bothers you. I can't keep track of what I'm talking about, Mind Rape Art, so I don't know what it is that's bothering you. You have to be more specific. I'm sorry, I'm a bit difficult, you know. It's just like that's just how I am. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty fucking miserable, isn't it? And why would you want to? I know you was talking to me about your horoscope the other day. I never got back to you about that, but I was meaning to. it's just another big subject in it. About my horoscope, I've got Jupiter in Sagittarius, conjunct Neptune, square to Mercury in Pisces. Like Mercury in Pisces in the 12th house, right? It's the worst. Mercury in Pisces, it's the worst place of a planet, because Mercury is exalted and rules in Virgo, and then it falls and is in detriment in Pisces. And Pisces is connected with the 12th house. It's the 12th sign, so it's the 12th house as well. So Mercury in the 12th house in Pisces is literally the worst placement you can have of any planet in your horoscope, and that's what I've got. But I've also got it conjoined the sun, which also adds loads of problems, because you can't differentiate very easily between your mind and your will. So my mind and my will are like too close together, and then they've got the square of Jupiter and Neptune, which just adds loads of other weird shit. Okay, there is some other interesting stuff about that. I'll get to that in a minute. Also, my dad had Jupiter and Mercury at 7 degrees Virgo, right opposite my Mercury in Pisces, 7 degrees Pisces, which just puts my childhood was an absolute nightmare. My dad also has his sun in 28 degrees Virgo, where my Pluto is. So his sun was right where my Pluto is. So he was like this sort of devil. My dad was like the devil. He was really like the devil, you know. If you could have had a devil as of a father, that's what my father was like. He was like the devil. I know, maybe that means different things to different people. Yeah, it is a bit confusing. Right, the good stuff is that I've got, I mentioned this in another video recently, I think. I knew it. I knew it. He gets around, doesn't he? You know, I'm sure he gets around. You know, he's probably, I met someone in this sort of drop-in center a long time ago whose mother was the devil, you know. So he doesn't even stick to the same sex. Sometimes he's your dad, sometimes he's your mum. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the idea of being able to divorce your parents. If I'd known about divorcing your parents, I probably would have divorced my parents. When I heard about this kid that divorced his parents, it was ages ago. It was decades ago now. But if I'd known about it when I was a kid, I probably would have divorced my parents. You know, they were such a fucking nightmare. You know, they were giving me and my brothers cocaine when I was like about 9 years old. My two brothers are like 3 and 5 years younger than me. So like one of them was about 5 years old. And then my parents were giving them all cocaine, giving us all cocaine. What the fuck? What are they doing that for? They're crazy. You know? I mean, I only had 1 or 2 lines. Mine got blocked in my nose. It's like my dad got really angry with me. He said, you should have done up your other nose. Both my nostrils were blocked, so I couldn't get it up there anyway. They gave me like I had magic mushrooms when I was 7. I had coffee with cannabis in it when I was like 4. You know, my parents had a completely different sort of like take on reality. They just thought giving drugs to children was like a good idea. Oh dear. Really, really stupid parents. You know, we could have bought this house. Like we actually did. We as a family, we bought this house in the old part of the town, and it was £6,000. It's quite a decent sized house. This was like about 1980, right? So in 2000, we didn't actually end up buying the house. Although I tried to get my dad, I tried talking to him and saying, look, just put everything into buying this house because it's going to be worth loads of money in a few years' time. And he come up with these ridiculous excuses not to. And then we moved to Wales. We abandoned this house that we'd nearly bought and then moved to a farm in Wales where the land was poisoned and that the well was poisoned. Our only source of water was poisoned. Everyone got ill. Oh dear. And then we had to move back to where we are now, after about a year. And so it was all pointless. And all we ended up doing was losing a house that we could have got really cheap. And that 20 odd years later was worth over £200,000. My parents have just made, they're so fucking incredibly stupid. They just shoot themselves in the foot. It's like they're pointing a gun up in the air and it manages to somehow shoot themselves in the foot. They just are so fucking stupid. It's unbelievable. And my dad got my mum and dad both have got inheritance money from their parents, but they've got nothing to pass on to me, because they've just done everything wrong continually, everything fucking wrong. Just they're so fucking stupid. Oh dear, I really should stop now. I mean, it's nice to be talking with you lot and, reading your little comments and stuff. And I just run out of things to say, which is usually what happens. I appreciate you watching and stuff. And I probably will come back again tomorrow and the next day, even though I'll probably just be saying more of the same stuff. It would just be like a repeat. I might even just start recording a video and just putting it out, the same video. Save me some time, Ah, dear. Yeah, no, that's it for today then. Anyway, thanks for your comments and stuff and for watching. Take care, be well, do the work. Right, this is the end of the stream. Goodbye.